So we are in the second section on page Tzadik Zayin. And we're speaking about the phenomenon that chochmah is called kodesh, where the term kodesh actually means muvdo, separate. And what does separate mean? It is separate because it does not mix with anything else. It is in a category by itself. And this union that it doesn't mix with anything else means that it does not mix with something which is akin to it, which has a shaykhus with it, like binah, and yet it is in a category by itself. So, maybe we should start. This would be 7 lines on the bottom. Line begins with kuli. That chochmah is moved on be'etzem from hasoga. Ve'ein zeh b'bchinas riyud chochmah. That is not applied. That is not referring to the riyud aspect of chochmah. One may think that chochmah is in a category by itself because chochmah has the phenomenon of re'iyah, where it sees the truth rather than being explained and understanding it. It has a direct contact. That clearly would set it apart. But this is not what we are talking about. She'ein zeh b'bchinas sichli. Because this phenomenon of re'iyah is not is a sichli quality. And it's not in proximity to hasoga. It doesn't involve even hasoga. Re'iyah does not involve hasoga. Which means, in simple terms, re'iyah does not. Or should I call up? I'm a PALTIEL.
Thank you. Participant number 1.
Re'iyah.
Hello?
Yes.
Can I call in?
Okay.
Yeah, I called in. You can call in. Re'iyah is not part of hasoga. Re'iyah is not verified through hasoga. When you see something, he does not demand that you understand what it is. And otherwise you doubt what you see. That does not occur. Because re'iyah is completely clear, real, does not need any substantiation from seichel. So it's completely outside of the dinim hasoga. And therefore, since re'iyah is in a different category than hasoga, therefore, to apply the word havdolah, to say that chochmah is moved on account of its re'iyah quality, is incorrect. Because havdolah applies to only something that does mix, that has something similar to itself. But something that is not, that is something that is completely dissimilar doesn't apply the word havdolah. Ki'im rather b'bchinas hasichli de chochmah. Where then does the inyan havdalah apply? In the sichli aspect of chochmah. Which we'll discuss now in a few minutes. The sichli, there the term havdalah applies. Why? For despite the fact that it is similar to hasaga of bina, because this is sichli and this is sichli, but in truth it is in a havdalah manner mehasaga de bina. The same terminology in the inscription applies to both, but in truth it is in a havdalah state. It is in its own reality, in its own category. Mipnei, it is havdalah. Why is Mipnei havdalah? Mipnei, because this is something which is quite challenging. I hope we can get some insight into this. Why has the sichli of chochmah is in a category, right? So this chochmah itself, of course, but the sichli of chochmah. Mipnei, because she'etzem inyan hasichli de chochmah mitzad atzmo, that the essence of the sichli element aspect of chochmah mitzad atzmo in and of itself. What does mitzad atzmo imply? Not just because of the difficulty of understanding it, but just what it stands for. In the difficulty of hasaga, there are two inferences. That's called ketzer hamasig or oimeg hamusok. Something is difficult to understand because it's difficult to seichel to reach it. That's called ketzer hamasig, the shortcomings of the masig, of the one who's trying to understand. And then there is oimeg hamusok, the depth of that which is being understood. That's a completely different type of separateness. So a chochmah, we say, etzem min hasichli the chochmah, the very etzem mitzad atzmai, the hasichli mitzad atzmai, in and of itself, not because of the shortcoming in the process of hasaga, but the sichli of chochmah by itself, from its own definition. In other words, even from its own perspective, how the sichli of chochmah looks at itself. It is in truth above hasaga. And here is the word be'emes. We pointed out several times in the past that the word be'emes comes to enlighten us. That this principle that we are discussing here will only be recognized if you look at it from a completely different perspective, not from the perspective of your experience, but how it is from a higher perspective, from a source, be'emes, from a truth. Where does it come from? How come it's there? This means be'emes. In truth, ha-seichel, the chochmah, is above hasaga, be'emes. In other words, even to chochmah itself, it is above hasaga. Chochmah does not experience the principle of hasaga. Kiyim b'bchinas hanocha. Where is the inyan has-seichli of chochmah? The sichli of chochmah is b'bchinas hanocha, in a hanocha manner. We already discussed hanocha. Really, this is not, we have discussed it for quite some time. The question that I'd like to focus in today is, if this is hanocha, then how does it qualify to be called sichli? Sichli normally denotes something that is acquired in a gradual manner, not like re'iyah, but something that is developed and finds its place in your mind. That's sichli. Hanocha seems to be something different. It's just accepted. And we will say that the sichli of chochmah is not hasogo be'emes. How then does chochmah manifest itself in sichli? The b'chinas hanocha. It is in a hanocha manner. So now, what we have to try to recognize, if it is hanocha, why do you call it sichli? And the explanation to this, and the answer is, the reason it's called sichli is because it is known. Even though it is only a hanocha, it has not gone through the process of seichel, but it's recognized outside of itself. It's recognized in the thought process, in the human mind, in a hanocha manner, but it's recognized. This fact that it's recognized, that already puts it in the category of sichli. Sichli means something that expresses itself. It is not just the essence as it is unto itself. This is why, by the sichli of the sichli of chochmah is called sichli. Not that it could be really comprehended. It cannot be comprehended. It's above comprehension. But nonetheless, it's in the category of sichli, because the hanocha is something that is known. This knowability puts it in category of sichli, because that which is in essence in the nefesh is not knowable. This hanocha, sichlis, is of utmost importance. This is what sets a person in a category by itself. Defines a human being what a human being is, which is known to him. This is not merely speaking, he has a different neshama. He's a different human being. He's a different thought process. Different significance of knowing and not knowing. Now you pointed out the other day, I remember exactly, not long ago. So the animal also knows, and the human being knows. But these two knowings are totally dissimilar, totally different qualities of knowing. The knowledge of an animal, the word chitzeni is already a category. It only knows the consequence. An animal eats, and it wants to eat, and it enjoys the eating, because it knows the consequence of eating, not because it understands that eating is a necessity, is of value. Human knowledge is categorically different, even on the lowest level. This is why hanocha sichlis is in the category of sichli, even though it's a hanocha, but for that it's known already gives it a sichli quality. Am I getting through? Hello? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
In these two distinct, which you pointed out before, it says hanocha sichli, and we're attributing to it known. If the known is a sichli, what is the hanocha?
The hanocha is called hanocha sichlis, because this hanocha is known. This is what gives it the title sichli, because that which is in essence of the nefesh is not known.
Well, but you've separated the two previously.
Okay, how did I separate them previously?
Well,
The hanocha and the sichli.
yes.
Okay, that we're still coming to that. But the sichli in chochmah is in chochmah there is two categories: a re'iyah and there's a sichli. This sichli in chochmah is not like sichli of binah. What's the difference between the sichli of chochmah and the re'iyah of chochmah? So we say the sichli of chochmah is b'chinas hanocha. How is that distinct from? How is that differentiated from re'iyah? Re'iyah does not translate in its effect upon the seer. He sees it whether he wants to see it or he doesn't want to see it. But he relates to it or he doesn't. Hanocha is where it is recognized and accepted. So that's already the sichli aspect of chochmah. So what we're saying that even the sichli aspect of chochmah is not in hasaga level, but rather it is hanocha. What is the difference between hanocha and sichli, hasaga? Hasaga means that you comprehend it. Comprehend means you can take it into yourself and walk away with it. It becomes yours. It's separate from its source. It's a hasaga. You can conceptualize it or theorize about it. This means hanocha sichlis. Then there is the etzem chochmah which you cannot, even though you see it, the ear does not lend itself to be discussed at all. It doesn't become yours. That's why in the ear, the moment of sight is the defining factor. Not I have seen it. I have seen it is not that significant. I understood it is significant. I learned it and understood that remains with you. But I have seen it remains a remote memory, but it doesn't have that impact. It is not the same. It is not the real thing. The real thing is when you're looking at it. So the ear is not in the category of sichli. But then there is the aspect in chochmah, which is in the category of sichli. But that chochmah is known not in hasaga, like in binah. It is known by hanocha sichlis. It's called sichli because it's known, and it is not known independently, so to speak, of its source. It's known to the human being by human identification. Still, it is not hasaga that he understood with his own devices. It's something that had set itself in his mind. Hello, are we still interested in this?
That's not for during.
What?
That's not a topic for during the shir. We're inside the shir.
I don't see any response. I don't know what's going on. Am I talking to the wall?
Shlomo,
Yeah?
speak to Rabbi.
Get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay, have a great day. Either we're here or we're not here.
You know, you're in the middle of explaining known. I don't know, but I don't see.
So ask a question.
Where is the block? What is inhibiting the flow from that point?
Is known an identification for seichel? Do you understand the correlationship?
I understand that known according to what comes from chochmah is a result almost like a recognition of what was of this site of what the Riyah chochmah of Riyah, the Riyah of chochmah has occurred, so to speak. And the known, like as you explained, the known is the self-awareness of what was seen. It becomes like an unknown.
So can
level.
we see that Hanocha Sichel is how it is related to Seichel?
Yeah, yes, on that level, but it's almost like an intimate. It's not it's not following a work, so to speak. It's something that is.
Yeah, we know that's what I'm asking is, what does Hanocha Sichel is qualified to be a Seichel realization?
It's only
Even though you didn't go through the process. So I explained, because it's known. I didn't get any response to that.
But that's it. I mean, so the only response can be, what does this known mean? It means it becomes like you became aware of it. Became
The fact that it's known, that qualified, give it a closer to Seichel or not.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm in here.
Yes, that's.
How does the known aspect put it in the category of Seichel? I have no demands. It is very difficult, but if we are not fit for it, we don't want it. What am I going to talk to the wall for?
You're not talking to the wall. You're in the middle of explaining something, and you're trying to that we will sense.
I'm asking, as I'm saying, are we getting
Can
there?
I explain? Can I say how I understand it?
This, I see you're making us aware of something that there's this sichli of chochmah it's in a category of seichel, but it's distinct. You're in the middle of this explanation how it's distinct from the seichel of hasaga of the hasaga of binah. You're in the. I understand we're in the middle of an explanation here. And not a challenge.
All I want is that we recognize how Hanocha Sichlis qualifies to be part of Seichel.
I think you explained it.
I tried to, but I didn't get a response.
But is not your statement? It's known. The answer itself.
What?
That it's known. Is that not the answer?
That is
itself?
the answer. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense, but it's a unique knowledge. It didn't come.
All I want is that when they say it's known, that puts it in the category of Seichel rather than Etzem. Re'iyah. And what is it different than Re'iyah?
Right, because by the year, it was explained very clearly. It doesn't have an effect on you. Cycle means it has an impact on me. It's there, but it's how it's known on the outside, so it affects me.
Okay, it becomes part of my knowledge. Okay.
In this way, it's like always said that we're in cycle and midas. Cycle is objective, midas affects me, and here we're going to say the same thing.
No, that's oversimplifying it, and that's not. It's a minor. Okay. Let's just finish it. So we are 5 lamps from the bottom. It is minor me'asoga be'emes ki b'bchinas hanocha. It is in a hanocha manner. The sichli aspect of chochmah is not be'hasoga, but in hanocha. Hanocha already gives it a seichel quality. Why? This is the question. If it's not hasoga, It is behanocha. So how is that to call it? How do you call it seichel? So explained that it is called sichli due to the fact that this is begilu, that this is known. It is not part of the truth of chochmah. It is known. Known means that there is something to know. Let's continue. And that which is nonetheless, seichel, pure seichel, uba hasogo, and ultimately, you can come down to hasogo. This is seichel of chochmah, which is not seichel in the full sense of the word because it doesn't come to hasogo. It is not only behanocha. That aspect of the seichel of chochmah, that is seichel in a pure sense, and it comes down to hasoga. Zehu einay bechinas hu etzem shelo klal. This is not the bechina of the etzem of the sichli of chochmah, klal, at all. This is not what's the essence of sichli of chochmah. Kiyim bechinas chitzonius. That which is in hasoga in chochmah. This is the chitzonius aspect of seichel of chochmah. This is not the seichel of chochmah per se. This is the chitzonius.
This is the halacha sichlis or something different?
No. This is something. This halacha sichlis. This is how the seichel of chochmah manifests itself on a chochmah level. Chochmah, so it's not pure sichli because it does not lend itself to be comprehended. That which is sichli in the full sense of the word, mikomo ken sichli, and it comes down to the point of hasoga, is not the etzem of the sichli of chochmah. The sichli of chochmah be'etzem is above hasoga. The sichli of chochmah is above hasoga.
And this further development, this is considered in the realm of chochmah itself?
It is chochmah. It is a seichel of chochmah. But it is the chitzonius of seichel of chochmah. This is the chitzonius of the sichli of chochmah. Sheba alidei tzimtzum kanal. And this chitzonius comes out on a day tzimtzum. From chochmah itself, from the sichli of chochmah itself, this comes to be recognized on the tzimtzum through the process of tzimtzum. What is the process of tzimtzum? Tzimtzum means that you limited the impact of the truth of the chochmah upon it. You cull from it just the chitzonius, just the manifestation, just the effect, rather than its truth. This is when you get the chitzonius out, and that aspect can be comprehended.
And this is yet before binah.
This is yet before binah. All right. Have a great day. Time to prepare for davening anyway.